Hello and welcome to IMC Radio and Podcast. Let's explore the top news headlines today, January 27th. First up, we're heading over to Nigeria, where activist and former presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore is back in the news. This time it's because of a video he posted that went viral pretty quickly.
Yeah, in the video, you see Sowore confronting police officers. It was on a busy road near the Lagos airport, and he's accusing them of extorting money from drivers. The whole thing escalates into kind of a tense standoff.
Wow, so the video obviously sparked a lot of public outrage. But police didn't respond right away, did they?
No, it took a while. It was only recently that they actually issued a summons for Sowore. They're accusing him of resisting arrest, obstructing officers, and even cyberstalking.
Cyberstalking, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of a strange charge.
It does seem a little out of place.
And to make things even more complicated, Sowore's already facing a separate legal battle. There's a cybercrime case that a senator filed against him.
Oh, right. I remember hearing about that.
So this new situation just adds another layer of legal complexity, and it really raises questions about, the motivations behind these new charges.
It definitely makes you wonder if there's more to the story than meets the eye. This whole situation really highlights the ongoing issues with police accountability and, freedom of speech in Nigeria. It'll be interesting to see how this case unfolds and what it reveals about the balance of power in the country. All right, moving on to a much more somber story out of Niger. There's been a sudden explosion at a mining site in Sudan. It's left 4 people dead and many others injured.
Yeah, it sounds like a really chaotic scene. A lot of confusion and fear in the aftermath. And it's still unclear what exactly caused the explosion, but there's speculation that it might have involved the mishandling of explosives, which is sadly not uncommon in these types of settings.
Right, it's just a heartbreaking event. And what makes it even more troubling is the lack of clear information. It seems like the community is desperate for answers, and the silence from the authorities is only adding to their anxiety.
Absolutely. The lack of transparency is definitely concerning. It raises questions about safety regulations at the mine, and whether proper precautions were being taken. This incident really underscores the need for stricter oversight and accountability in the mining industry to prevent tragedies like this from happening again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Shifting our focus now to some international headlines. We see Colombian President Gustavo Petro taking a bold stance against U.S. deportation flights.
Yeah, he's refusing to allow them into Colombian airspace. He's saying that he wants to protect Colombian migrants, and he doesn't believe that the U.S. has the right to treat them like criminals.
Interesting.
And this comes right after Brazil took a similar stance just a day earlier. They expressed outrage over how deported Brazilians were being treated, particularly the practice of handcuffing them during the flight.
Oh, wow.
This seems to be part of a growing trend in the region, a pushback against what's perceived as mistreatment by the U.S., especially under the current Trump administration. These actions signal a growing tension in international relations and a willingness to challenge U.S. authority.
It's a fascinating development for sure. Okay, switching gears now to South Korea. We see President Yoon Suk-yeol facing a very serious situation. He's been charged with insurrection, stemming from his controversial attempt to impose martial law back in December.
Right, that move led to his impeachment, and now he's in custody. The first sitting president in South Korea to be arrested. The charges against him are incredibly serious, and this situation has the potential to significantly reshape the country's political landscape.
It's definitely a dramatic fall from grace, and the outcome of his trial will have lasting consequences for South Korea. The Constitutional Court will have to decide whether to permanently remove him from office or potentially reinstate him. It's a pivotal moment in South Korean history.
Absolutely. This situation also raises important questions about the use of executive power and the limits of presidential authority. It's a reminder that even in democratic systems, the balance between individual rights and national security is a delicate one. And actions taken in the name of stability can have unforeseen and profound repercussions.
For sure. All right, let's take a look at some other notable news stories making headlines. Starting with a bit of a celebrity story involving Nigerian footballer Victor Osimhen, who's currently facing some serious allegations.
So he's been accused of assaulting a Turkish journalist and then offering her a bribe to keep quiet about it.
Wow, so Osimhen, who plays for Galatasaray, he's denying these allegations, right?
Yeah, vehemently he claims that he was ambushed by this journalist and some other people with cameras, and that he was just trying to protect his privacy.
So is his word against hers?
Pretty much. It's important to note that there are conflicting accounts from both sides. The journalist is claiming there was a physical altercation and threats were made, while Osimhen insists that he never laid a hand on her and is even considering taking legal action.
Oh wow, so it's a he said, she said. situation at this point. I guess we'll have to wait and see if any more evidence comes out that can help clarify what really happened. The outcome could have big implications for both Osimhen's career and the reputation of the journalist involved. Okay, in other news, President Bola Tinubu of Nigeria has arrived in Tanzania for the Africa Energy Summit.
Right. This summit is a really important platform for discussing and shaping Africa's energy future. Leaders from across the continent will be presenting their strategies for achieving universal energy access within the next 5 years. It's an ambitious goal, but it's essential for driving economic growth and improving quality of life.
Absolutely. So what can we expect from President Tinubu at the summit?
Well, he's expected to highlight Nigeria's own initiatives in the clean energy sector and emphasize the country's role as a leader in driving sustainable energy solutions for the continent.
That makes sense. Nigeria has been making some significant strides in that area.
They have, and this summit is not just about showcasing individual country strategies. It's also about fostering collaboration and knowledge sharing between nations, allowing them to learn from each other's successes and challenges as they work towards a common goal.
I see a collaborative approach is key for tackling these complex issues surrounding energy access and ensuring a brighter future for all Africans.
Exactly.
Okay, now, for a story that's generating a lot of controversy, U.S. President Donald Trump has called on Jordan and Egypt to accept more Palestinian refugees.
He's specifically talking about those who have been displaced from the Gaza Strip, a region that's been ravaged by conflict and is facing some really dire humanitarian conditions.
Right. So what exactly is Trump proposing?
His proposal involves what he calls cleaning out the war-torn area and relocating the displaced population to these neighboring countries. He believes this would give them a fresh start and allow for the rebuilding of Gaza.
It's a bold idea, to say the least.
It is, and this proposal has been met with mixed reactions. Some see it as a potential solution to a long-standing crisis, while others are raising concerns about the logistics, the feasibility, and the ethical implications of such a mass relocation.
I can see how that would be a concern. The sheer scale of the operation would be daunting. You'd be talking about constructing housing and infrastructure for potentially hundreds of thousands of people.
Right, and critics are also questioning whether it's fair to uproot these individuals from their homeland, and whether Jordan and Egypt have the capacity to absorb such a large influx of refugees.
It's definitely a complex issue with no easy answers.
It is, and Trump has reportedly spoken with Jordan's King Abdullah II about his proposal, and intends to discuss it with the Egyptian president as well. So the international community will be watching closely to see how these key players respond, and what impact this proposal could have on the already complex dynamics of the Middle East.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see how this all unfolds. Okay, finally, some tragic news coming out of Sudan. The World Health Organization is reporting a devastating attack on a hospital in the Darfur region.
Yeah, the Saudi hospital in El Fasher, which was the only functioning hospital in the city, was targeted, resulting in the deaths of at least 70 people.
Oh my gosh, that's horrible.
This attack is a stark reminder of the brutal reality of the conflict that's been raging in Sudan for almost 2 years now between the Sudanese armed forces and the rapid support forces.
Right. It's easy to forget about the ongoing suffering in these conflict zones.
It is, but it's important to remember that these tragedies are happening every day.
So the WHO has condemned this attack, right?
Strongly, as they have numerous others that have targeted healthcare facilities in Sudan. These acts of violence not only result in the loss of innocent lives, but they also cripple the already strained healthcare system, making it even more difficult to provide essential care to those in need.
It's a vicious cycle. It seems like the conflict just keeps escalating.
It does. The conflict in Sudan has created a humanitarian crisis of immense proportions, with thousands killed, millions displaced, and countless others facing unimaginable suffering.
It's hard to even fathom the scale of the devastation.
It is. The international community has been trying to broker peace deals and ceasefires, but so far these efforts haven't been successful. The situation remains volatile and dangerous with no clear end in sight.
Yeah, it's just heartbreaking to see the toll that this conflict is taking on innocent civilians.
It really is, and this attack on the hospital just underscores how urgent it is to increase international pressure, to try and bring an end to the violence in Sudan and to hold those responsible for these atrocities accountable. Protecting healthcare facilities and ensuring the safety of medical personnel and patients, that has to be a top priority.
Absolutely. This situation in Sudan is a grim reminder of how fragile peace can be and the truly devastating consequences of the conflict. It's a call to action for the global community to really step up their efforts to find a peaceful resolution and provide humanitarian aid to those caught in the crossfire.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, these stories from around the world really highlight the challenges and complexities that we face as a global society, from issues of police accountability and freedom of speech to political turmoil and humanitarian crises. It's clear that we have a lot of work to do to create a more just and equitable world.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Staying informed about these issues is so crucial, and we hope that this exploration of today's top news headlines has provided you with some valuable insights and perspectives.
I hope so too. It's through awareness, understanding, and engagement that we can contribute to positive change and work towards a brighter future for everyone.
Well said. That wraps up our look at the top news headlines for today, January 27th. Thank you for listening to the Today's Top News Headlines on IAMC Radio and Podcast.